Good morning and welcome to AwesomeCon 2019. My name is Timothy Craggette. I'm the host of WERA 96.7 FM's Swift Kick show, and also one of the co-hosts for I Love Nerd Life, co-hosting this event with C3 Comics. For those of you that are new to this, welcome. Those of you that experienced the whole panel thing, welcome back. So I'm just going to go ahead and have our panelists do a brief introduction, and then we'll get right into the conversation. So let's start off with Alan.
My name is Alan Cole, publisher of C3 Comics. This is our third time appearing at AwesomeCon, second time having a panel here. I am the writer of No One to Save. It's just a one-shot. The first one-shot with C3 Comics is done. We have other books as well, but we're just going to talk about that one for the day. Now, done.
Hello, my name is Douglas Pendleton. I help with sales and marketing, and I'm an art director. I'm the art director on No One to Save. That's all.
So we're just waiting for one more panel, so hopefully you'll be here pretty soon, and then we'll have a full panel. But we're going to go ahead and get started on the conversation. So let's start in the beginning for actually developing No One Is Saved. There's many superhero books that are out there in the marketplace, but there's something that's very unique about yours. What was the motivation and vision behind No One Is Saved?
Well, everyone knows Marvel Zombies, correct? Yeah. I read Marvel Zombies, and I love zombies, period. They're my horror to joy, I guess. And of course, I love superheroes. I'm an 80s baby, so that's Superman, Batman, everything. And Marvel Zombies, I thought that was going to be, especially being written by Kirkman after reading Walking Dead for a while. I think this was before the show. But anyway, I thought that it was going to be the perfect blend of superheroes and zombies. And then I read it, and Juggernaut was a zombie, Colossus was a zombie, Hulk was a zombie. So people had their powers, but at the same time they were affected by the virus. It didn't make sense to me, so I understood once I read the entire series that, oh, they just took zombies and made them into the superheroes. So some people have powers and some people don't. Wolverine still had his adamantium, but not his healing factor. But then Hulk was still healing. It was weird, and I just wanted to I wanted to actually take a superhero archetype, which once you read the book, you'll see that this is Superman, and someone that's not affected by the virus, how he would react in this situation, where the threat is real. And this is what we came up with. Even though we'll get into this later, but the ending was kind of different, and this guy right here actually introduced the twist that's in the story that we get to in Act 3, I think. Yeah, so that was the motivation for it.
So one of the things that was really striking about the book was the whole subject matter of what if you had a superhero that had to make decisions for people that could not make decisions for themselves. How was that a main thread through the book? And how were you able to craft a character that can be sympathetic to the cause, even though they knew deep down in their heart there was really nothing that they could do?
Are you referring to the hero of the story, the main character?
The hero, yeah.
With him being sympathetic or the reader being sympathetic?
The main character.
Okay, because just to let you guys know, the main character was written to not be likable. He's based off of not the Superman now. He's based off the pulp Superman of the 40s and 50s. So that's the basis for him. So that's the ideology going into him, which I'm sorry to say it doesn't get into in the book. It's not enough time. It's only 55 pages. But that was the mindset. Happy-go-lucky, save a cat from a tree. If you look at the old George Reeves Superman TV serials, that's the inspiration for him. And it just takes it to answer your question. It introduces something that I think mean, well, oddly enough, DC now has this Deceased series that is coming out, which essentially tackles the same themes.
Right.
So I don't want anybody to think that I copied this. This book was done like a year ago, and we have been working on it since 2012. So it's just weird that it all comes up at the same time. But essentially, the main thing about it, and it only gets, like, certain things get hit on, but not actually focused on. So you see, when you read Act 2, they're broken up into 4 acts. And each act deals with a different, what would you say, a different feeling that he's going through?
Yeah, different phase in the journey that he's going through.
Can you pass me one of the books, please? Because I think the first act is loneliness, the second act is regret, the third act is redemption, and then the fourth act is sacrifice. So each one is dealing with a different aspect of his personality or what he's going through at that moment. So
Right.
the loneliness just actually shows where he is as an individual. It is meant to purposely play off of, you think that what he's going through in a normal day, and he's not going through a normal day. Like, this is his day, but it's not, it's anything but normal, it's abnormal. And it definitely brings it to the question, once you read it, how much are you willing to sacrifice? How much are you willing to sacrifice for someone that's very close to you to save other people that you don't know? So then that gets into the whole ideology of what it is to be a hero, because if you have your own daughter and someone else's daughter in the same situation, you can only save one. And you know that you're going to save one, but are you selfish because you want to save the one that you personally know? And will other people look at you wrongly because you didn't save the other person that you know? So you saved the life, but you had to make a choice. And that's one of the things that he had to deal with, and that's kind of, it kind of plays back, if you read it plays back into how he is in the beginning act.
So I want to go into a little bit of trying to figure out how to get this book in people's hands. And this is more so a marketing question. So it's going with the independent route and trying to do a story that's so different. There's a certain group of people that you have to target first in order to get them to really adopt to the book and help to be kind of your squeakers. What was the main strategy, or the thing that you thought would be the best way to move the book just to get it into the reader's hands? And then once you got it into the reader's hands, how did you keep them engaged?
I actually don't have an answer for that. I mean, when we launched it, we did a PDF that we had launched that we allowed people to read for free for the first 2 weeks or so. And then we reached out on Facebook, we started an event, a launch event for the book. But I don't know, being a small press company, it's hard because you don't have the financial resources to really push out there. And to try to, I don't know, and one of the other major problems too, I didn't really know how to promote it. I am horrible, and this is what Doug really comes into really well. I'm not an elevator pitch guy. I can't, it's very hard for me to kind of compress anything that I work on into 2 lines or under a minute. It's just hard for me, and it sounds odd coming from someone that proclaims to be a writer. That's one of my limitations. I cannot, even now, sitting here, I can't break down. I had to wait for the digital company to actually come up with a pitch for this before I was able to take it. So I took it, and I said that it wasn't my own. I said that this is how the company promoted it. But it was because the way that the book is, it's 2 reveals in the book. So there's the zombie reveal, and then there's the superhero reveal. And then there's the third reveal, which is the twist. And because it's so compressed to just 55 pages, there's literally no build-up to not no build-up, but there's no...
It's a fast-moving book.
It's a fast-moving book, yeah. So we don't have issues to actually break it down and slow bleed it out. So I didn't know how to do it. So I was trying to find certain pictures or images in the book that would actually show it but did not show it. Show the image. And I thought that one of the things that was going to show was, one of the things I led with was this image, just the hero's logo, which is, it's a cop-off. Everyone saw Man of Steel last summer, correct? So this is the first time I'd ever heard where they had a sign that the Superman shield meant hope.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I literally just took that and just, so the hero's name is Hope, which I thought was going to be another kind of like throw off to, or another nod to Superman himself in the story, but him not being Superman. So that was the best thing that I could come up with on the fly. I don't have a marketing team to kind of help with these things, but hopefully we'll be able to start doing that because we do have other books that do deserve a little bit of shine, I would say.
So let's go a little deeper then. Let's go a little deeper into some of the artistic aspects of the book. There was definitely a big movement to trying to capture that feel of a Superman-inspired character without necessarily leaning super deep into Superman. What inspiration did you find that as you were writing the book or crafting the book that gave way to illustrating those types of movements, those types of moments, so you kind of capture the strength and the courage or self-loathing aspect of the character, but still have it have the whimsy of a character with super strength, flight, and all the other characteristics?
Well, one of the images, yes, there wasn't a lot of instances that we could actually use to show the superheroics of it, but we did in this circumstances. There was one particular image that I thought was is this image right here, where he finally decided, like at this point, this is the point he finally decides to fight back and to do what some would say is his responsibility. And so with that image, we had him actually come in, and that's the generic Superman image of him holding someone up, holding a villain up, and just kind of like standing above everybody. So it was an actual point to not have his feet. I don't think his feet were pointed down. Yeah, so his feet, so he's literally standing, and that comes from like the old Alex Ross, how he had Superman shown with him just like he's literally standing in the air. So we wanted to kind of show that. And then his chest was always poked out, so regardless of how he was feeling, it was more so in his costume, it was more so in how his hair kind of got like messed up and then like his costume itself. Welcome, this is the artist of the book who apparently got lost and is dying. So for this question, since our artist is finally here, once he gets settled, he was the one that actually came up with a lot of the mannerisms, I would say. I mean, we spoke a lot about it, but he was given a lot of leeway to kind of do what he wanted to do with it. So the art.
So just before we ask any questions, a brief introduction of just who you are and what you do. Yes, Mr. Tom.
Hello, everyone. Wow, that's okay. All right, here we go. Hi. As Steve the Tardis had a bit of health issues, but I'm here. My name is BobbyLexx, and I'm the artist for No One to Save.
So we were just getting into talking about some of the art, so it's kind of a great time that you showed up right now. So some of the things that we see in the book is really inspired by the archetype of a Superman type character. What were some of the motivations for some of the pages that you created? Like what things did you see, or things that were the quintessential scenes that needed to be created in order to give you that feel of the super being?
One of the things I want to say is it was awesome working with Alan, because I work with a lot of writers. And with Alan, I had freedom, but I also had direction. So I like the idea of, hey, you know what? I envision this. You play with it. And by doing that, I went through 1940 Superman with George Reeves. I poured a lot of Christopher Reeve stuff in. I wanted to play with zombie stuff, but I really want to get the mixture of that zombie stuff as well as that 1940 serial Superman piece. That's why when I designed the costume, if you notice, his shirt, actually, it's like a little sweater, And that's the way George Reeve costume looked back in the 40s. So that was the inspiration for that. And a lot of the panels were just crazy, off the wall stuff.
Okay, that was a bit of prep. All right.
Over.
Thank you. All right. So I want to move a little bit into some historical things. So with you and your journey into getting into this particular book, there's been a road that you've traveled that has been varied as far as the companies you've worked with, the artists that you've partnered with, the writers that you've illustrated for. What would you say was the one thing that really was the central theme in your journey up to this point that kept you going, no matter what adversity you had as an artist?
So I'm pretty old. I'm a lot older than I look. And when I was 8 years old, I had a goal by 17 to work for Marvel, or to be a minister. The goal for actually working in comics never changed, no matter what. I've actually had that goal. So that goal, well, it kind of changed. So we went from Marvel to DC. So I did some work for both, honestly. I prefer working with DC. But it always just been that drive. And the main thing is, I felt like part of the drive in doing it was my relationship as I got older, with trying to actually have a connection and give back my talent towards the Lord. And that kept me going. So no matter what happens, I know I always have to draw because it's a God-given gift. And you don't waste those things. And no matter how sick I was, no matter how hard it was, no matter how late I had to stay up. At one point, I've actually stayed up for 3 weeks straight with no sleep at all drawing. And it's just stuff that you have to do to get to where you want to be.
So in that time and sacrifice that you put in, there had been times in this particular book that you created that you felt like it was just not going to reach an apex for you. What part in the development did you kind of feel like you saw the light, that you saw the end of the tunnel and knew that this thing was actually going to make it to print?
The double page splash. Because I figured, I knew going into it, from page one, I knew that those 2 pages was going to get done. And it was a rough road because there was a lot of roadblocks during this book. And when I actually finally finished those 2 pages, I'm like, you know what? Because there's no going back. This book is hitting print. This book is actually going to be completed. I think was it slightly ahead of schedule? Was it late?
It was a little late.
Yeah.
Can I add one thing to it? This is one of the things that happens when one of the compromises that is made. So everyone knows that a lot of artists draw digitally now, correct? He refused to draw digital, which of course would have sped the entire process up. Now, there's a thing in the back of the book where it's the making of Hero, and the last few pages is literally just this one page. It's page 5 in the book. It's page 5. He redrew this page 3 times. 3 times traditionally, just by hand. And it was annoying. It was annoying because he just couldn't get that one page right. And he did it, technically he did it by like the way that I wrote it. I write, I guess, not traditional, not the Stan Lee way of writing comics, but kind of like a scene, panel, text, panel again. So he wrote it the way he drew it the way that I wrote it, but it didn't make sense once you actually saw it. But like some of the panels didn't make sense the way that they were actually drawn out. Not his fault, but the way that I described them. And it would have been easier, say, a lot easier just would have did it digitally. And then you run into things where, you need paper, now we need, and then when we were trying to get it printed, the printer that I use, or that we use for this book, is a digital printer. So, of course, he had the blue line in it, and they don't know how to process that. So the first print that we had the blue lines outsketched in the pages. So we were just like, it doesn't phase any of that stuff out. So
That had to be annoying.
It was very annoying. So the book itself took, I think, 3 months to get done, from beginning to end, artistically. It probably took another 3 months just to kind of get to this actual finished format. And that was annoying too, because then we had with the PDFs, of course, we had it where people were letting us know, is this how it's supposed to be? Then I had to change it. But this was just a rough draft. It was just letting me out there, we were just putting the underground cover out. And so that was, I guess the biggest marketing thing, going back to that question, was the cleanup of that first one. So now we've learned our lesson, and certain books have been done digitally, and if we do traditional again, then we're going to use a more traditional printer that can erase the blue lines, which is how that works.
Well, I mean, I figured, because I thought the printer we were using was a traditional printer. And digital. But now that I know, I can clean it up. I can scan it and clean it up digitally. But, so from page 1 to page 5, there was no pencil line. It was just straight ink to paper. And there was some rust with ink. When I got to page 5, I had to redraw it 3 times. I started sketching stuff out at that point because it was like I can't, because I redo this 3 pages in 1 day. So that I did, that's all I did, and then I had to go back because I didn't want to mess up my schedule.
So I want to move into the relationship question, because this is one of the things that isn't really talked about in a lot of panels, and that's the relationship between writer, artist, and in this particular instance, the total company. What are the things that we don't expect to be part of the relationship that's mostly overlooked to help a book like this actually get released? And that's an open question for anyone to take it.
Well, it's always a group effort. So even though people can say, you wrote this. Yeah, I wrote it, but it's a long process, and there's a lot of people involved, even though we're small. So one of the first things that happened when we came up with the idea was this is just something I want to write, is put in the docket. So you just work on it, and there's no clear date. You didn't have an artist. Then at one time we went out to look for artists, and it was we don't really want to divert any funds for anything else that we're doing and put it toward this, it's not that thing. Zombies is not the thing now. This doesn't make sense, because the editor that I had at the time, yes, do have editors, even though I'm a publisher of the company, he stalled on Act 1. And it was because he felt differently about the story. He thought that the reveal was the zombies, and I was telling him the reveal wasn't the zombies. The reveal was that he was a superhero. He was a Superman archetype, and there was a heated debate going into that, because that dramatically shifts the entire story. And then once we got past that, there was a different ending originally. And this is where Doug's biggest contribution to the story came. The entire twist of the story is actually this man's idea. And it might have been tequila influenced idea. I can't remember, you just sit back and you get a brewery or something, and then you just start talking about miscellaneous things within comics or work that we're doing or whatnot. But if you read it, that's another thing that, he had a very, very good point about Superman and him being on Earth. And it just stuck. Because the original ending, I can tell you, since it's not in here, once everything happens, he kind of just goes off to the moon and just sits there because he realizes that he can't do anything. There's literally nobody to save. That's the whole point of the title. But this one actually made way more sense because it brings a different dynamic into him. And then you get into the art. Fortune just smiled upon us that myself and Rob were able to, I guess more importantly, that Rob was in a position in his life that he was able to sit down for some days and some weeks and actually draw these pages out, because they're very intricate. And then he was just coming back off of almost a decade hiatus, so So this is his first published work in a very, very long time.
I think it was about 10 years. Yeah, the last book I did was Fred issue 4 before I got sick. It was out for 10 years.
So let's explore this thing because it keeps coming back up. The change and so now I can finally get you on the mic. All right. Big question. When it was coming time to put a bow on this story, and this epiphany happened for you to change the circumstances of how the story was going to conclude. One, what was the circumstance behind changing the end? And two, how did you relay this to your table mates in order for them to kind of buy into the idea that this might be a better direction?
Well, me and Alan was talking. I was at the computer. We was talking about how the virus was supposed to originally spread. And I don't want to give too much away, but it made no sense of a Superman type guy getting his skin broken in a mortal world. It made no sense. I was like, if he gets bit, no, he's not going to get scratched. No, he's super. So when we come from space, it's like, say when somebody comes from another country, you get inoculated.
Right.
And this guy came from another planet. He didn't get inoculated. So he might carry a few things with him. And I figured, well, let's go from there. Because the kicker was, I said, I don't want to give it away.
Right.
But you'll see something happens in, what is it, Act 2 or 3? Act 3, and you'll be like, oh, this is how it goes.
Interesting. So was this something that you mostly had inspiration from real world events that kind of shaped this new reality? Or was it just, you kind of looked at it and said, this just does not make sense?
Well, a lot of it's real world too. Because a lot of stuff spreads. You can catch a lot of things from touching it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I was like, yeah, this real world sickness.
Interesting. So how did you guys actually react once you were kind of let into this new possibility? What was your initial thoughts and how did you resolve it?
My initial thought was that now I got to do research. Seriously, being a comic writer is just like writing anything else. You have to do research, and then he threw another possibility into it. So now I need to find out how viruses work. How do they spread? What's the inoculation period? Is there any kind of do they evolve? How does that work? Can they be can they be inoculated against? How does that work? And then when you take the real world aspect, how does that work within comics? And how does that work within superheroes? And how does that work within zombies? So that kind of dictated how the story was going to go from that point. So no, he didn't go to the moon anymore. And yeah, I will say that was the original, where he was going to get bitten finally, just 2 little bite marks, and then that was going to change the dynamic of what his relationship was with the survivors that he had found. And Doug aptly told me, oh, you just went into your Marvel zombie stuff. So I was just like, oh yeah. So the one thing that I was ranting against was the thing that I had actually turned into, or that the story was turning into by the end of it, even though it was more serious, I guess, a serious take on it. But so he saved me from myself, I would say.
So, artist perspective, you get the call. Mm-hmm. There's a revision. What goes through your head?
So 2 things. Luckily, by the time the revision happened, the script I received was actually the revised script. But when I read the story and I read the script, I was like, bet, let's do this. So I was just, here you go, just going. But I actually have worked with people who would give me a script and I would draw the entire thumbnails. They approve the entire thumbnails. I'm drawing the book, and then they go, you know what? I want to change page 5, or I want to change page 30, whatever it is. Or what's worse, I want to change the last 5 pages. So now I got to go back in and redraw everything. Now the way I draw, I link everything in my page from panel to panel throughout my entire book, so there's continuity. So if I actually have to redraw something in the last few pages, I now have to go back and make sure that everything else fits the page I drew prior to. Pardon me. And that can be annoying, but I am pretty fast with doing traditional. This book just took long because there's some other stuff, but I'm pretty fast doing traditional. So typically I can actually still do those corrections in about a day. Like I said, I did 3 pages of corrections in one day and one. So it doesn't really affect me art-wise. It can be annoying depending on how they do it, or how soon they do it, and how soon they need it.
Interesting. I want to ask a question about really serving the audience, serving your fans, the readers of the books. There's parts of the storytelling that need to resonate, even if it's something that's completely fictional. How are you able to humanize such a totally fictitious world and still be able to craft the stories with so few pages at your disposal?
I don't know how to write for other people. I don't know if that makes any sense. I write what I like. And I assume when I'm looking at, I don't know, One Piece or Naruto or reading Superman or whatnot, that they wrote for themselves as well. So they have a particular story that they want to get out. They're not really reaching out to a particular segment. I know that if I like certain things, like one of the best animes that I like is Berserk. I know that if I like Berserk, there are other people that like Berserk as well, obviously, because I found it. And if they have the same taste that I do, then I'm pretty sure that there's an audience for what I will be producing as well. So to that note, I don't really think about it. I kind of just write the story, and then all the other technical aspects of it, the changing of the ending, or as in with Rob, because there was actually the point that Doug was talking about, where the change came in. I did talk with Rob about emphasizing that in the book. So then there's like that page where that event happens, it reaches out there and it just seems so out of the blue as to why like that the focus would be on that. And so just little things like that would be, but I mean essentially I just write for me, honestly. Because at the last, which is odd, because I hate everything that I write afterwards. Because you see all the flaws in it afterwards. So after it's done, like I could have did this different. I could have did that different.
Right.
But that's with every artist, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Your perspective.
Could you please repeat the question?
You're really having me to do this at a panel live. Okay.
My apologies.
So the question, and I'm going to tailor it for you. The question that's being asked on the table currently is, when you're illustrating the books, especially this particular one, how are you catering your art style? I'm going to finish to your audience, that way they are receptive to the story that's being told.
So I like to, it's gonna sound really weird. I gain some type of inspiration from a few artists, but also Dwayne Johnson. And here's why. I see that face, you're like, yo, I'm perplexed. It's because always. And not only am I, dare I say it, one of the best artists that this company has. No. Let me say, I'm one of the best artists that DC has.
And this is where we conclude the panel.
But I'm real serious. So I feel that what I take from Dwayne Johnson is I feel like I am the people's artist. So I don't necessarily draw what I want to see. I take what the writer wants to write, and then I draw it in what I think the audience or the audience who would follow me would want to see me draw. And I try to keep that in mind. I still don't have a theme, but if you look at my work, based on the artist, I'm the writer, my art style will change. My vision doesn't. So the way I lay out my panels, the way I tell my story, that's all the same. But the artwork itself may differ to fit the mood, but I still do it based on what I think the audience would want to see. My base art is kind of Jim Lee is a great inspiration of mine. I mean, it's just amazing. But I take part of that and I use a lot of myself, and again, what I would think the audience would want to see.
I'm glad you brought up Jim Lee. And this is the reason why. The 3 weeks later double splash page. What about this? Did you want to make sure that the audience received from it? Because this is a lot of work. So what in this 2-page spread was the goal in telling this particular part of the story?
The whole point of this part of the story, Alan wanted to really emphasize what he was doing during this 3-week period. And basically he was cleaning house. I tried to get as many zombies on as possible after filming this page, but the most I could have done was something 7 or 8.
All right, let's do the little zombie count.
Yes, please, what is zombie count? Okay, so I wanted to illustrate that, but also I wanted the audience to see what he's doing and what he's been doing the whole time that, for that 3-week period, the impact of it, and where he's going. So I put a lot of detail into the buildings.
6.
Just 6?
6.
You sure it's 6? I might want to count it this time.
Yeah, well, I had to make sure that the things weren't. It looks like it's 6.
How was that killed? One fell off.
Did he bump his head?
He did. He was for sure. So I wanted people to see that. I wanted to see the fact that what he was doing, he's moving from one place to the next. And I also wanted to give that wow factor. I wanted people to look at it and go, wow, that was a lot of work, and then appreciate that. Because, I mean, I don't really like drawing buildings or cities. I actually prefer drawing things like Conan, like mountains and trees. I go crazy on mountains and trees. You would never see me. But I figured that the audience actually would really enjoy that much work and care, because to me it shows that I care for you guys as an audience, and I want you to be entertained with what you see. And that's, I just keep it right in mind.
I want to ask this question. This is an open question for everyone. Being that you've been able to get press for this book and people have discovered it, there's a certain type of recognition that lets you know that you've made something that's made an impact. For you, what has been that impact that you've made that is kind of signified that you created something that people are responding to? And this is for everyone.
I would probably say a few weeks after we released the book, I got an email sent to me by some guys in London that have their own podcast. So they do comic reviews, and they informed me that they had picked our book up and they reviewed it. He didn't tell me whether it was good or bad or not. He was just like, well, here's the link to it. It's going to launch tomorrow, so here you go. So we listened to it, and it was actually pretty good. It was good not because he liked it, but because he got where I was trying to go with it. So he asked questions, like he was left with questions. He was confused at certain parts. He was aghast at the main character because, like I said, the only thing I wanted to get across with this book beginning was that I didn't want anyone to like the main character. And that's odd because it's a Superman person, and you're supposed to like him, and especially from the 40s. So you're supposed to like him, but the choices that he made seem so irrelevant to how we are right now. And then, you know, I immediately called Rob and told him, like, hey, because I think that he compared him to John Byrne and Jim Lee. He was like John Byrne. He was like, it's a mix of John Byrne and Jim Lee. I didn't see the John Byrne, so I had to look at it a couple more times to get that. And then look at John. I just don't follow John Byrne that much, so that was, you know, that was my ignorance. I did see the Jim Lee influence. So yeah, it's nice to see people reading it and then actually not completely being where you are, but being there, like looking at it, rereading it again, being like, oh, I caught this, like reading it 3-4 times and be like, oh, you're finding something new each and every time in it. That's refreshing.
I'm gonna keep this one brief because I know I have a tendency to talk a lot, even though I don't have any right now. So for me, it's when I got a call from Alan that said the book was nominated for Book of the Year. And I was like, yay.
Oh, another point, I brought it up earlier. Once again, I take a small bit of pride in knowing that DC Comics has once again gone along the same path and is doing their DC's thing, which Doug brought up to me. I didn't know anything about it. I think it launches next month or so. But the fact that it's on the same trajectory that this book was on means that obviously I've tapped into the same kind of like thought pattern of somebody in the big two companies. So that's kind of a little bit of a boost, a pat on the back.
Yes. Awesome. So we're going to open it up to wrap on. So if there's any questions, please feel free to ask them. Please. First name?
Oh, Alice.
Alice.
Here 2 years ago. You don't have a booth here?
No, not this year. We don't have a booth. Sorry.
Well, what can you do for Alan today?
Oh yeah,
Oh no. Oh yeah, he'll get one.
There you go. See, I helped. Anyone else? Going once? Going twice?
so I have a question.
Please, go ahead.
My bad, sorry.
No.
All right, Chris, so how, I haven't started reading it yet. So usually, like, I know a lot of times people's vocation or occupation usually kind of reflects what type of hero they become. So with this person, especially, you said it takes place in the 40s, right?
Well, so the cool thing is there is absolutely no defined time.
Huh.
The illustration of him, the inspiration of him came from 1940 Superman, but the time is ambiguous.
It's timeless. Okay, nice.
Anyone else? Okay. First you, then you, thank you. Yes, please.
Hi, I'm also Chris. I'm just curious, I'm a writer. What are you all reading yourselves right now?
I'm sorry, say it again?
What are you all reading right now? Like that maybe you're drawing inspiration from or that's keeping you focused?
The only comic book I really read is Curse Words. I mean, it's a good comic. You gotta check it out. And I think, well, that's not the only one. I also read Kick-Ass and Hit Girl, but that's it.
I think currently I'm reading JLA. There's a nice run on that, interesting run. I just got finished reading Alien Dark Orbit and Alien, or Dead Orbit. I can't remember the Alien 3 unsolicited script that they did. So they relaunched that as a comic book, the Alien 3 movie. So I've read and finished that. Let's see, a bunch of anime and manga, a bunch. Like I'm just on Crunchyroll a lot. Like I live on Crunchyroll. So there might be like 25 series that I'm following there. The newest one is Hero Shield, I think, or My Hero Shield. I can't remember what it's called. I just got into like the first episode. Conan, Savage Conan. Pick that up. The Hunt for Spider-Man with Kraven the Hunter. That I'm one issue behind. Man, I don't know, it's a bunch of stuff. It is a bunch. I don't know, every time I go to the comic store weekly, it's like $30 to $50, so.
I'm not reading much. I can't read good, no. Because I work so much and I'm drawing so much. I actually, honestly, the only book I'm reading right now is 4. Honestly, everything else is all anime. Is because I typically, while I'm drawing or working, I'm listening to that.
Even though I'm moderating, I'll just throw one out. I Hate Fairyland. I'm rereading that, and that's a great series. And last question to wrap up.
I might be having a spoiler since I read it, but I have a bone to pick with you guys because I
Would you like a microphone?
I'm sorry, ma'am, that's not a question.
No!
That's a complaint.
Anyway, why didn't he check on her in the book?
I can answer that.
Please, answer that.
He is a dullard. He is stupid.
No.
Yes, he was stupid. That
No.
I'll probably say, oh no, you go ahead.
Yeah, we have about like 2 minutes, maybe 1. So.
Okay, I'm gonna real quick. So he didn't check on her because he didn't need to, because he actually put her in a place and he thought she was good. He gotta go do other things. He can't watch everybody at once. I'm just saying.
There's no one else
It was denied.
Okay.
It was denied.
I guess I'll use my moderation powers to say this seems like this would be something that needs to be kind of tabled after this particular panel. But I want to thank all of you for sticking around. Those that actually stuck around and all that, and appreciate you. Please make sure you follow up with C3 for their books, for their prints, because I believe that there's prints to be given out. And please follow everything that they do. Thank you so very much for being in this part of this panel, and we look forward to seeing you some more. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
I need to, for you guys to leave real quick and work on honor system, I need to know who was in here first, second, third, whatever else. Get the prints. Because they all number.